heard these stories. Didn't know if they were true or not. Aboriginal legend, Indigenous king laid to rest in the heart of Fingle. The water has a threatening presence. It doesn't invite you. It dares you. On the shores of this quiet fishing village, I gave everything I ever had to surfing. And it gave me everything in return.
Look, it was back in the day when there was no managers, you know. He was tucked away down there at Fingle, and, you know, he used to surf Fingle all the time by himself, but I could see talent. I could see Jay was a world-class surfer. We had an amazing young group of surfers coming through at once, and Jay was the leader of the pack. He shone. He's always wanted to be the best. He wanted to be the best surfer in Coolangatta, and that's saying a lot, because there's always been great surfers from this town. So to be the best surfer in this town is a big deal, and it was a good goal.
Rabbit used to pick me up, and he used to drop me off down at Jay's at Fingle, and we'd just surf like 3-4 times a day. So it'd just be me and him, and just his own flair that when he was younger, you know. I remember thinking that, I was like, man, this guy is the best, you know, he was like one of my closest mates, but I was like, man, he's the best surfer in the world. He was so far ahead of any other kid in Australia, I think.
When I was a kid, I had this photo of Jay doing this forehand like lip slide with his 3 fins out the back and sliding across the lip. And it was a poster that I put on my wall. And I was probably 12, almost 13 years old. And I was in awe. He was about 17, maybe 18 at the time. And he was the hottest junior in Australia. He was by far. He won all the junior series. He was in incredible form at the time and just an amazing surfer and kind of a bit of a, I guess, he had a bit of a wild side to him. And so I just remember being in awe of him and thinking, no, this guy is like the greatest surfer of the time.
That's why I got the fucking towel down and fucking not scratch the fucking car. Okay? What's the G car?
Your favourite surfers and stuff? Occhi, Jay Phillips.
Growing up, he was one of the guys that we always looked up to. He was a few years older than us, and you know, he was that guy who was sort of pushing, I guess, pushing the boundaries a little bit. You know, always throwing tail and always just so flamboyant, which was incredible.
Man, like he's just smooth but radical. Smooth, radical flair, just...
No shortage of talent, no shortage of style.
The hands, like, whoa!
You don't really see the Jay Phillips until you see him just cutting loose on the point breaks out here.
Just smooth and powerful and radical. Kind of a good mix of old and new, you know?
These beautiful snaps out lip and then onto the next section. Huge rooster tails.
He's just excited surfer still today.
Just... That's Phillips. That's Phillips in the water.
It's a flowing, beautiful surfing. It's just classic Queensland point break surfing. That's the true Jay Phillips.
Oh, shit.
You tell us where the waves are. They look, huh? You coming with us or what, mate?
When he was 16 years of age, he was sort of junior champion in Queensland. Well, growing up with his father, he was a hell of a man and a bloody good surfer.
I guess his dad didn't quite, realise that he was super world class. And Johnny Phillips, tragically passed away in tragic circumstances. It was really bad, and Jay, it shattered Jay's life really, and I'd go down there and could just see that he was kind of a broken kid for a long time.
He actually had to go from the contest over to the Tweed Hospital and turn his father's life support system off. For a 16-year-old boy to go and do that, and then come back and then go in a contest at Duran Bar after doing what he'd just done and win the contest, was a pretty remarkable achievement. But on the other hand, knowing his dad, John, he would have said, go and win the bloody contest, turn the life support off and go and win. And guess what? That's what Jay did. At 16 years of age, that's a pretty heavy feat on an individual's brain to go and do. Turn your father's life support off, then go and win a contest. Fuck, that's scary.
Some say it was a push turned tragic. Some say it was a sucker punch. A man dead, and no one held accountable. Property development was on the rise in Fingle. The community was divided, for or against. They held a meeting. Things got heated. Words were said. Next time I saw him, he was in a hospital bed. Unresponsive. Brain damage. Doctors said he'd eventually wake up. But the man I knew as my father was never coming back.
He looks at his picture every day every single day. And Soraya will be dancing and he'll go, Dad, he would love to see her doing this. He just wished that he was around.
"16 years old, on the edge of adulthood, now with no guide, no answers, full of confusion, hurt and fury, with nowhere to throw it, except for the obvious."
You know, he had no father figure, and it sounded like he didn't really get that support to push him through to just get all that other side of the surfing that you need to become like a Kelly Slater.
It's the most profound thing maybe that happens in your life. You feel like you're alone in the world, you know? All of a sudden. You feel lonely, and then also you gotta grow up. You realize that it's up to you.
Well, my friend Rob Trujillo got the job with Metallica, and then by default I just kind of made myself Rob's photographer. Then we put this idea together, Jay and I, that Metallica were coming out for the Big Day Out tour, and we just said, hey Rob, you know, we're gonna take you and Kirk surfing all over Australia, and then we just have a great time. That's what happened.
Our tour is different for me since I've been coming here 20 years was the relationship that Metallica had with the surfers here. Metallica basically came here for a surf trip and had to do music in between the surf trips. So Robert, who's been surfing God since the 70s, he's from Dogtown in Venice Beach, and he'll just be doing his funky stretches on the beach and just watch Jay surf and just scratch his head. So one of the funny things is you get to know these people as people and they just become friends. And so I think sometimes when Jay and these guys show up to the gig, they forget that they're some of the best musicians in the world. And you're up there kind of in awe and going, that's the guy I just had a beer with at lunch or just hung out. Well, the same thing works for these guys, man. They're just good friends with Jay and the other guys. And all of a sudden we go to the beach and see them at such a high level that it blows their mind. They're like, these are our friends, but look what they do in the water.
There was something immediate about the way he surfed that it transcended all of the, typical words and phrases for surfing. It was just like a true expression of art and like a pure kind of expression of his soul and, his creativity. It was all just there on display. It was really beautiful.
up to him. You know, everyone knows who he is, but he just never really broke through.
I've thought about it so many times why he never qualified and went on tour, you know. He's totally had enough talent.
There were guys that were super hungry, probably definitely weren't as talented as Jay, but they just had more drive, and that was it.
You know, as a kid, he was just, I think he got lost a bit in losing his dad, and took him a little bit too long to, you know, figure it out and become a man himself, which he had to do on his own.
Dad, you do taste there. I know you do taste there,
There was probably 20 guys that, you know, all lost their sponsors all at the same time.
Like Jay was winning everything and he was doing all this great stuff, and then all of a sudden the money's gone.
Yeah, they all sort of just kept living the dream, but, you know, the sponsors weren't paying for it anymore.
It happens to a lot of surfers. Part of the time where you go, where do I go from here?
He just didn't have a mind for competition, or he didn't, you know, just didn't have that mindset to kill or be killed, you know.
He sort of almost made it. There just needs to be some underlying thing where you love to travel. You kind of, I think everyone who just wants to be home all the time, they struggle to be on tour. And you struggle to have that little extra something that you need to win heats and push yourself that little bit further, you know?
He definitely didn't fulfill his potential, that's for sure.
It didn't stop surfing, or he didn't fall into a hole where he just turned his back on the beach. He was always ripping. You know, for me, watching him surf, I was so inspired, because that was sort of around the time when, you know, I was sort of making that transition for me. So to come home and watch him surf really fired me up, and I always loved surfing with him. He's always such a good guy to be around, especially out in the water. You know, to have that sort of caliber for surfing at your local break, then it's a blessing for us because we get to watch it.
You know, I don't think he would have changed as a person if he had went out and tried to chase down a world title or become, you know, a multiple world champion. It's what he is. He's Jay, and that's the best about him. I mean, there's not a person who doesn't love him, and that wouldn't change if he had more trophies in his mantelpiece, you know.
second of silence as he dived beneath a wave. Dance with it. Fight against it. The greatest waves I've ever surfed lasted 20 seconds, then gone forever. You chase the next moment. It's a need. A sun around which everything orbits. To command 1 second of respect from a monster far bigger than you'll ever be. Sometimes I wonder what happened. How did any of this happen? A kid from Fingle with a surfboard. A board that took me to the corners of the earth. And a love that runs through my blood. A love that takes you out at dawn and keeps you going until dusk. A love that exists if there's anyone watching or not.
Jay Phillips and the irrepressible Snapper Rocks. Snapper Rocks on the Gold Coast. Jay Phillips. Jay Phillips. Right off the bottom, there's the beat. Very dominant performance from Jay Phillips. Here we go, Jay Phillips from the Gold Coast.
To know you have the things that ever meant anything. Love for my wife, my kids. To give back to the club that took me in. Snapper Rocks Board Riders.
You know, he bleeds for that club.
This right here is the most proudest moment of my surfing career. Being here on stage here, seeing the world's best.
To surf with the people that lifted me up and to lift them up in return. In the end, it doesn't really matter what could have been. It was amazing any of this ever was at all. I ended up exactly where I always wanted to be. Home.
I think he's done well for himself. He's got great family, lovely kids, great wife, and great friends. And he's just a really big part of the surfing community here in the Gold Coast and really Australia. He's just, he's given all the all the knowledge and all this those secrets to the kids now and helping them, hopefully not to make the same mistakes that he did, and also benefit from all the things that he's learned. So I think that's says a lot about his character and how good of a person, a surfer, and just you know, a father and a husband that he is. You know, he's can't really say too much more better than that, you know, for a person.